October 16th, 1957, Minas Gerais, Brazil. A young farmer named Antônio Vilas Boas was plowing his field late into the night. The air was warm, silent, and heavy with dust. Unbeknownst to him, that night would become one of the strangest and most controversial encounters in UFO history. As he worked under the stars, Antonio noticed something odd: a red light moving slowly across the sky. At first he thought it was a star, or maybe an airplane, but then it grew larger, brighter, closer. The light descended silently until it hovered just above the ground, only a few hundred meters away. Antonio stopped his tractor. The light revealed itself as an oval-shaped metallic craft about the size of a small house, resting on 3 legs. It emitted a high-pitched hum that pierced the silence of the countryside. He tried to flee, but when he started his tractor again, the engine died. Suddenly, a hatch opened beneath the craft. 3 small humanoid figures stepped out, dressed in tight metallic suits. Their helmets were round, with narrow slits for eyes. Each carried a small tube that glowed faintly blue. Antonio ran. But before he could reach the tractor again, one of the beings pointed the tube at him, and he felt paralyzed. The beings grabbed his arms and pulled him toward the glowing hatch. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Inside, everything was metallic, smooth, shining, and warm to the touch. Strange instruments covered the walls, blinking with red and green lights. They placed him on a narrow table and began what seemed like a medical examination. One drew blood from his chin, another took skin samples from his arm. After the exam, the beings left the room. Moments later, a door slid open, revealing another figure, a woman, but not entirely human. Her eyes were large and cat-like. Her hair was platinum blonde, her skin pale and cold. Without speaking, she approached Antonio. He said later that she emitted a sweet, almost intoxicating scent. Then, in silence, she drew him close. Antonio claimed they had intercourse, not violent, but mechanical, as if she were following an unknown purpose. When it was over, she smiled faintly, pointed toward her belly, and then at the sky, as if to say, "Our child will live up there." He felt both fear and awe. Then she turned and left. The beings returned, handed him his clothes, and guided him out of the craft. As soon as he touched the ground, the humming began again. The craft rose into the night sky, glowing red, then disappeared among the stars. Antonio staggered home, exhausted and disoriented. He noticed the time. 4 hours had passed. Over the next few days, Antonio developed strange symptoms: nausea, weakness, small burns appeared on his skin. Doctors later diagnosed him with mild radiation exposure, though no clear source could be identified. He described his story in detail to a journalist named José Martins, and later to Dr. Olavo Fontes, a respected physician and member of the Brazilian UFO research group. When his story reached the newspapers, Antonio was ridiculed. Many said he invented it to gain attention, but he never sought fame nor money. He simply repeated the same account for the rest of his life. Unlike most alleged abductees, his story came years before the famous U.S. abduction cases like Betty and Barney Hill. That detail puzzled researchers. How could a poor farmer in rural Brazil describe a space abduction before the term even existed? In the 1960s, psychologists examined Vilas Boas. They found no signs of mental illness, delusion, or hysteria. He appeared calm, rational, and consistent in every interview. Even decades later, his account never changed. No evidence proved his claim, yet no evidence disproved it either. The Antonio Vilas Boas case became a cornerstone in UFO research. It introduced the modern idea of alien abduction, medical experimentation, and hybrid reproduction, concepts that would echo in countless reports for decades to come. Skeptics call it fantasy. Believers call it proof. Either way, it marks the beginning of an era where humanity began to fear what might already be watching us. Antônio Vilas Boas died in 1991 at the age of 56. He never retracted a single word. Until his last breath, he swore that what happened in that field was real. Perhaps he was lying. Perhaps he was mistaken. Or perhaps, on that silent Brazilian night, he truly met something from beyond the stars. Case file number 001, Antônio Vilas Boas, Brazil, 1957. Status: unexplained.